Check. I've captured you, and you are going to be mine. I can't get up from my chair. Well, hello. Hi. Just messed up my camera angle. That's my Adam's apple. And now everybody can see my ass. I can't help it. I'll come work with you guys and help you train her as much as you want, as long as I can have her on my podcast and have her on my lap. All right, hello and welcome to another episode of the Toronto Dogcast. Here with me today is Lilu, this adorable little puppy here, and I think we should give a disclaimer to the audience. Anybody who is offended by severe cuteness, you might want to skip this episode. When I first met this puppy, I was literally offended by how cute she was. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about puppy life, not to be confused with thug life. And we're also going to be talking about this great breed. We're going to talk about the St. Bernard, some of the history, what it's like to live with a St. Bernard. And I have with me today my two lovely neighbors, Janae, did I get that right? And Mitt, did I get that right?
Yeah.
That's pretty easy. Okay, Janae was much more difficult. Thanks so much, guys.
Say his full name. Say his full name.
What's your full name?
It's Mitten Vargas.
Mitten.
Mitten Vargas.
Vargas. Yes.
You guys are new to puppy life. Obviously, you just got her a little while ago, like a month ago or so.
Yeah.
I was talking to you guys at the garage sale. We had a garage sale in my building. And you guys were like, we're going to get a puppy. We're going to get a St. Bernard puppy. And then like a week later, you had a puppy.
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot of questions from the internet, all three of them.
Yeah.
Instagram. There's a lot of people out there who have puppies and who are going through the same kind of struggles, trials and tribulations as you guys are doing. So is this your first dog as a couple that you've had on your own?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is like your first kid or
New baby.
That's right.
That's awesome. So were you guys thinking about getting a puppy for a while? What made you decide to get a puppy?
Oh, yes. So we had this conversation for more than 6 months.
It was a
And it
6
was
month
like-
discussion.
Yeah, I had a no for like 6 months, and at the 7th month, she was like, okay, let's get the dog.
So you wanted the dog and you were like, no.
No, I'm a cat person through and through. I love other people's dogs because I get to pet them and play with them and then leave them. And I go home to my clean apartment with my cat that takes care of himself.
Okay, so it's interesting because a lot of people out there ask about dogs and cats all the time. And I tell people all the time they are perfectly well suited to living together as long as you take the precautions and make sure you're, introducing them correctly and the rest of it. And I think it's easier if you have a cat and then you get a dog versus having a dog and then get a cat, especially if it's a kitten. All right, so you guys thought about it for a long time, which is really good because a lot of people go through this kind of really quick, oh, let's get a puppy. And they see how cute they are. They see how adorable they are. Maybe they see one on the street or in a storefront. And, puppies are literally irresistible. But you guys talked about it and said, okay, do we know what we're getting ourselves into? Do we understand, like, the time commitment and the rest of it that it's going to take? But you've had dogs before.
Yeah.
Just not your own. So you go get a puppy, right? And one of the first things that you gotta do is get all the stuff. So what kind of stuff did you have before, or did you get all after?
Mitt was a good dad.
Yeah.
He went shopping before.
Yeah, like one day before, I had the Amazon Prime, and I was like, I did a major list of stuff.
Yeah.
And I made a purchase of around $1,000 on a single day.
You're kidding.
Everything.
$1,000.
$1,000.
The dog has a better bed than we do.
Yeah, and apparently she doesn't sleep in there. I do.
Yeah. He sleeps there now. But I feel like the first month is always the most expensive.
Yeah.
Like we puppy-proofed the apartment.
Yeah.
You know, took all the stuff that was hanging out on the low shelves, put everything important away.
Yeah.
You know, all the shoes in the closet, kind
Oh.
of thing. And I think because she's so big, stuff is more expensive. Like we didn't get her a tiny bed; we got her a bed that she can grow into,
bed.
which is a little more expensive. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you know, Mitt was excited, so
Well,
best of the best.
I tell people quite often the first year and a half of having a dog when they're a puppy is expensive.
Yeah.
Because you're doing everything
Yeah.
for the first time. You're getting all the shots, you're getting the vaccinations, you're buying toys, you're buying all the gear. And then once you have it, obviously, it's not like you have to buy another crate for her every
Oh,
year.
that's the other thing. The crate is expensive as well for like an extra large. And they call it a giant breed. So like getting a kennel for a giant dog is also a little more pricey.
Yeah.
So we invested in that.
Yeah, it's a good investment.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think that's an interesting point. We're going to get into... So we're going to talk about puppy life, and we're also going to talk about St. Bernards and the breed and life with the breed and all that kind of stuff later. When you're getting a larger dog, everything is more expensive, and because there's just more volume of stuff. So you're getting bigger toys. You're getting a bigger bed. You're getting bigger chew things. Like everything is proportionate to the dog. So that's one thing to consider. So I would say large breeds are anywhere between like maybe 80 to 100 pounds, and then these guys are bigger than that. So I guess
plus.
The
100
giant
plus.
ones, yeah.
Giant. Life with a puppy, with a large breed puppy, it starts right away in terms of everything is bigger. They take up more space. And we are actually going to talk about having a large or extra large breed in an apartment setting or condo, because we both live in apartments. I happen to have 2 dogs. Right now there's 4 dogs in the condo, and it's perfectly fine as long as you exercise them properly. So we got a lot of questions from all the internets, and we're going to go through them. And these are things that are really common to anybody who's getting a puppy, and anybody who's had a young dog before understands how difficult it is in some respects. So I guess the first challenge that you have after you get all the gear is going to be the house training. You have a system.
It's like a call to action. Paper towel goes down immediately. We grab that spray. We have an enzyme spray, which has been a lifesaver that actually breaks up the urine smell so they won't be tempted to pee in the same spot again.
Good.
And then we let that sit, wipe it up, and mop over it a few times. So we're pretty good with the pee.
Well, that's good. I mean,
but it is a lot. More.
It does cause a lot of frustration and stuff. So it's difficult because they're babies. Right? Yeah. So, I mean, I shouldn't say never make. I try not to make analogies between humans and dogs too much, but at the same time, it helps people to understand. You know, how long is a human baby in diapers for? But I mean, if you are diligent with it, and we talked about it quite a bit, in terms of the preemptive strike, right? So taking them out before they start whining or pacing or whatever, because a lot of people are looking for certain signs that, oh, my puppy has to pee. Don't wait for those signs.
She doesn't really signal us all the time. So if
you, I mean, really quick tip, if you're looking for one in terms of house training your puppy, every couple hours, take them out. Just whatever you're doing, like have your reminder set up on your phone. It's just like, oh, it's been a couple hours. Let's take Lulu out for a walk. And then if she goes, great. If she doesn't go, it's still fine. And then a couple hours later, and then within a few weeks usually, they're pretty good. Mosley took like a week to house train because he's a superstar. But every dog is different. So just anticipate that is going to be a challenge. And
it's
take
harder
your time
in
with it.
the evenings. That's usually when it happens, is towards the end of the day when the sun goes down and we're getting lazy,
Yeah.
that's when it happens.
Like you have to be proactive. There's no way out of that.
There's two big factors. There's the size of their bladder is tiny when they're puppies, and then there's bladder control, which is the actual like muscles around like controlling the bladder. So both those have to develop, but they grow so quickly.
Yeah.
And if they are taken out proactively, you're not really dealing with a bursting puppy that has like really an urgent need to go. So they're going more often and they get used to it.
Another thing I've noticed with this breed, she kind of hates walking.
Yeah.
She's perfectly happy to like pancake on the floor and she'll stay there for like she'll sleep for hours. Yeah. She hates walking. So that's been a struggle, getting her to actually go outside and not.
Yeah. I'll help you guys with that. That's not a problem.
She's got better.
All dogs love walking.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nirvana. That's why my tagline at the end of my videos is, if you love your dog, take them for a walk, because that is the best way you can express love for your dog, because you're doing it for them and it satisfies a number of their primary needs. It's very
she's giving you her autograph.
So that leads us to the next thing. So chewing. Right? Oh, and everybody who's had a puppy, it has gone through this phase where they're teething. And they come with these really razor sharp so I'm actually getting her to chew, which you shouldn't do. You shouldn't stick your hand in a puppy's mouth because they're very mouthy. So chewing is a natural thing. Even when dogs are grown, they love to chew, and it feels good for them. It's very primal. So that's why they chew on toys and chew on bones and the rest of it. But it's especially, it's an issue when they're puppies. First off, their teeth are really sharp. And they chew everything. So if you have furniture or, a really nice handbag, maybe, that's leather, because that's the other thing. They like leather, right? Because it's a natural, tough material for them to chew. So it's something, again, that you're going to have to anticipate. So how did you guys, steer it in the right direction? I think that's the key is taking that instinct, because you're not going to get rid of it. If you get upset with them when they start chewing stuff, they don't understand why. They're like, hey, I'm a puppy, I'm teething, I'm going to chew stuff. But I think it's just a matter of getting them to chew the stuff that you want them to chew instead of...
we'll replace a shoe with a rubber ball or something. She's good. She hasn't destroyed any furniture yet.
She hasn't.
I don't think she has she doesn't have the palette yet for micro suede and IKEA. She's more into her toys and her her grooming stuff.
Do you know why she likes the brushes? Why? It's the shape.
It's the shape.
So if you think about a brush, it's got like a skinny, like a handle, and then it's got a wide base, so they can hold it with their paws, and then chew. So I think the rule of thumb out there is, if you have a puppy and you have something that's very precious to you that you don't want chewed,
I think that's
keep it up high or somewhere.
So what happens was, when the dog walker is not at home, she would chew on everything. Usually her bag of stuffs, her toys, her brush, and the shoes. The next thing what I did was I got a bitter spray, sprayed on the stuff that she bit.
Yeah, the stuff that she likes.
Yeah, and the stuff she likes. But it didn't work. She went on it aggressively more when I sprayed on the bitter spray.
Bitter
spray.
You just seasoned it for her.
Give
her a little gravy.
So now I think I should block one part of her room and just keep her with the raw hides and all her toys, the chewing stuff, so that you're controlling her environment or her surroundings.
I guess the question is, does keeping them in a smaller space make them less destructive?
Yes. So kennels are ideal
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So crate training is one of the questions that we got from, I think it was from a Facebook person,
Yeah.
and they said, is crate training a positive thing for puppies? And I
Yeah.
would say absolutely.
Yeah.
So crate training has a bit of a bad reputation because of the aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I wouldn't want to be confined,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We associate bars and jail cells
Yeah.
with a cage, and
Yeah.
some people call crates cages and the
Yeah.
rest of it. First off, they come in many different shapes and sizes. You can get plastic ones, you can get ones that look like little houses, whatever. But the basic premise with a crate is that it is like their little den.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very cozy spot,
Yeah.
and if it's sized appropriately, meaning it's not too big and it's not too small,
Yeah.
then it's very cozy for them. They love it.
Yeah.
When I took Kenzie's crate away,
Yeah.
she was very upset.
Oh.
And when I had other dogs and I was doing crate training with those other dogs,
Yeah.
she would get jealous and actually
Go
try to
inside
get in the crate herself.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
a really good thing
Yeah.
because they associate it with rest and relaxation,
Yeah.
and it's a place for them to feel cozy and comfortable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a bigger space is actually more stressful
More.
for them. The thing with crate training is when you have a puppy, you can get a crate that is adjustable, meaning that it has like a little divider in it. So you buy one crate
Yeah.
and you use the divider to make it small enough, and as they grow, you she's playing.
Yeah.
As they grow, you move the divider to make essentially the crate larger and larger.
Yeah.
But in terms of saying, okay, well, we're going to leave our dog alone for a little while, we don't want her to have run of the
entire apartment.
and then
Yeah.
they're more likely to relieve themselves
Yeah,
and have
yeah.
accidents when they have more space.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, that's
interesting.
true.
so crate training actually helps with potty training as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is one thing that I found it like a little, like you have your urges and like you feel a heartache seeing her inside a cage, right?
But that's
But
the human part.
that's, yeah.
So you
I
got
think you're right, because for her a kennel, like a small kennel, that would be perfect, and she wouldn't be in there. But again, when I look at it, I'm like, oh man.
but you got to
Yeah.
so the thing to keep in mind is that don't think like a person.
Yeah.
Don't think, well, I wouldn't enjoy that.
Yeah.
Because the reality is what you would enjoy,
Yeah.
right? And what she would enjoy are two different things.
Yeah.
So if you ever, if you want to Google, like, wolf den,
Mm-hmm.
it's a tiny little
Yeah.
place that they build for themselves, and it's super cozy. So we talked about biting and nipping, but we didn't talk about, like, how to remedy it. The thing about puppies is that they're very mouthy. So they put everything in their mouth.
Yeah.
It's kind of like their hands. When puppies are young, one of the favorite first games that they discover is using people as a play toy.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
everything is about play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So because they don't have any other live, like if puppies were with each other, they would choose to play with each other,
Yeah.
and they would literally chew each other and
She's not
nip
very
and bite.
nippy.
Yeah.
She's not very nippy.
So if you are having problems with it, so how do you guys avoid it then?
Well, the moment when she bites it, I would say no, or I would clap.
Okay.
When she bites my hand, or like I would say clap no, and then she would she kind of recognized the voice no as whatever she's doing, stopping.
There's
that.
a certain tone
Right.
where she just and she stops. She knows she's upset us, and if she does bite, we had a good piece of advice recently. You shout, and even if it's a little one, you go
a scream.
ah, because she learns that your skin is sensitive and you shouldn't do that.
Right. Yeah. So
Right. So we
I'll-
started that.
I can explain why. People ask a lot, like, why do dogs do it? Because they understand that it can be uncomfortable for people, but at the same time. So the thing about dogs and nipping or jumping, and we'll get into jumping in a bit as well, is that it turns into a game. It's a fun game, right? It's a way to get attention. So if a puppy wants to get your attention, and then they start like nipping at you, and then you're just like paying attention to them, they're like, yeah, this is fun. The other thing is what people do is they'll take their hand away.
They think you're playing, though.
Right. So
like, oh, I should chase that now.
So as soon as somebody goes like that with their hand, a dog's natural reaction is to chase after it.
Around animals that she's not used to, she's very excited and wants to play, but at home she's very low maintenance. Like she just chills.
Well, the thing is, people don't understand. Like dogs are when they're puppies, they're growing at an enormous rate. So when do you grow? You grow when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right?
She sleeps probably like 18 hours a day.
Yeah, 18, 20 hours a day
20
they sleep.
20 hours a day.
Yeah. And when
which
she
is
wakes
great.
up, she's tired.
Yeah. So it's like they go play. It's like super fun, super intense, lots of fun, and then it's just like boom, asleep. And then they'll eat, and then they'll play, and then they'll sleep, and it's like rinse and repeat kind of thing. But one of the things that you could do for nipping, if you don't want to use your voice, which I tell people not to, because what people do is they tend to use the dog's name. So they'll say something like, Lilu, no! Right? Or something like that. And so a dog's name should be a very positive thing. It's not necessarily good to discipline your dog with their name. Right? So a better alternative is a snap. Why a snap? Well, it's a consistent sound. It doesn't convey any emotion. And it's something that's readily available because you always have your hands. So you only need one hand to snap, versus like whatever. And then the other thing is just to ignore the behavior. So if she starts nipping at you, or if your puppy starts like nipping at your hands, and you start paying a lot of attention to them, it's going to encourage it, right? But if you just ignore it, I lost my train of thought, and that's okay.
So ridiculous.
That's okay. You know, I'm gonna do my very best to ignore you.
She was quiet for like 1 second.
What was that? So ignoring them and not making it into a game, not getting upset, just kind of understanding that that's part of what puppies do, and then you can address it over time, but it'll take a little bit. And then making other things that you want them to chew and mouth on exciting. Right? So make it a game, make that fun and exciting. And then when they're chewing on that, it's like, oh, okay, this is supposed to be exciting. And away you go kind of thing. All right, great. So we talked about house trading, biting, and nipping. Oh, so dogs and cats.
That's my favorite.
And actually,
my
puppies and cats.
Topic.
I will tell you one thing. I've been trying to get a cat person on the podcast.
Yeah, I
forever.
responded to that post. I was like, hey.
Did you want to do it?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
sure.
Maybe we'll do that on a separate one.
A perfect crazy cat lady.
Oh yeah.
I'm transitioning to a dog
mom
tolerating person.
Yeah.
But puppies make it pretty easy, you know.
Yeah, so I think
Cute.
one of the
Not
misconceptions out there is either, oh, I'm a dog person, or oh, I'm a cat person. And I'm like, no, I'm an animal lover. Like, I used to have a cat and a dog at the same time, and I love both of them. Like, when I see a cat, I ooh and ah over a cat just as much. Well, maybe not as much as a dog. I still love dogs a little bit more, but it's not that it's either or.
For me, it's a cleanliness thing. Cats don't need much maintenance or washing. They don't smell particularly bad.
Well, they're litters.
I know. Well, I clean it so
Okay, all right.
I'm a bit of a neat freak.
So how was it bringing a puppy home to an environment where you already had a cat?
Well, firstly, I think it's important to mention that the cat's name is Corbin Dallas. And
Corbin.
this is Lilu.
Corbin.
So one of our favorite movies is The Fifth Element. So
Yeah, I got that.
I was allowed to name the dog. I said she's Lilu. So we've got Corbin and Lilu.
Okay.
So we expect them to get along and save the world together.
Yeah.
When Lilu first came home, Corbin kind of already has free reign of the house. But we were prepared. Like I took Corbin to the vet, got him all checked up, and just to make sure it was safe for Lilu. So that's a part of it too. If you already have a cat, bring them to the vet. Make sure that it's they're all up to date with their shots and they're not going to spread anything around.
So how'd you introduce them?
I don't think we really
You
did.
just like
We
there's-
just
there's
allowed
the cat,
it.
there's the dog.
Like Corbin has his spaces that he likes, so we just made sure to give Lilu a space of her own that wasn't near where Corbin likes to hang out.
Yeah.
So we were cognizant of like where we put the bed down,
Right.
where we put the toys, where we put the food, and they were fine. I mean, like most cats, he was just aloof, didn't really care. They haven't really been, swatting at each other or anything. Now they're kind of at the point where they walk by, they sort of like boop noses.
Yeah, they're
and-
curious.
Yeah,
Curious
it's
about
not
each
a big
other?
deal. I think they'll eventually be
So-
friends. Like Corbin will put a little saddle on her and ride around eventually. So it'll be fine. They're progressing as predicted.
So the thing is, cats are very agile
Yeah.
and can get to places where a puppy can't.
Yeah, so she knows.
That's
He
right.
knows how to.
So
Get away.
I mean, cats are pretty resilient. They can take care of themselves. They're
Yeah.
not necessarily. I think
Yeah.
one of the worries that people have is that is my dog going to perceive the cat as a playmate,
Yeah.
which is a legitimate concern because dogs think, oh, there's a furry friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
That's
play with
true.
you. Oh, you're running away? Does that mean that we're playing tag?
Yeah.
And there's some
Yeah.
monitoring or supervision that you have to do initially
Yeah.
to make sure, because puppies can play really rough,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that might not be cool with a cat. But I mean, cats can tell a dog.
Yeah,
Bam.
one
And
action, and the dog learned pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't do that.
Yeah, so it's
It's
not
not
an
been
issue.
difficult.
So
no.
it's never.
The
Yeah.
bigger issue is the cat litter.
Oh,
we-
yes.
obviously-
Yeah, that's.
That's a
Corbin
very good
has to
point.
do his business, and we obviously can't close the door to his abode.
So does she think it's
And
like a
Lilu-
treat box?
I've
Let's
never
just say
seen that. I've never seen that.
I'm the first one that gets home at the end of the day, and I see the neat little white footprints going from the bathroom all around the apartment. So Lilu gets in there, and that's something we're still trying to fix.
Yeah, that
I don't know
is
how
an
to.
issue.
I don't know how
Yeah,
to separate. Like the cat needs access to the litter,
Yeah.
and the dog does not.
Yeah, so
But,
that's a challenge. So
what do
how
we
about
do?
this? If you have any recommendations for these guys or anybody who has a cat in terms of what do you do with the litter? Because I had a challenge with that as well.
Uh-huh.
Because Mosley, when he was a puppy, used to be like, oh, look, there's a bunch of treats in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to have, this
Nick
is yummy.
did not believe me.
It's really gross.
He's like, they don't do
Oh,
that.
they do.
I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
100%.
But
Yeah.
also,
that dog's gonna get in it.
I kind of thought about it as a puppy's perspective because they have a little bit of nutrition deficiency and they think eating that would fulfill their nutrition deficiency. That's the reason why they're doing it.
Well, that and it's
It's
just
more-
it's just something that's available to them that is
Yeah, they
different,
just
and
get
it
it.
and it smells right,
Yeah.
and because the cat's diet is different,
Yeah.
and the rest of it. Okay, and then in terms of their food, does Lilu ever try to get into your cat's food?
Yeah, we just keep them totally separate.
Yeah.
Lilu
Okay.
knows that when she gets fed, it's in her kennel.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's her
the
spot
only-
to eat.
Yeah, that's the
And
only place we
Corbin's-
put that.
Corbin's
Yeah.
spot is up higher.
So let's talk about puppies and kids. So you guys don't have any children yourself, but the issue of children is a big topic, and a lot of people ask about it and that kind of thing. So one of the misconceptions is, well, I don't have kids myself, so I don't need to worry about my dog or my puppy and kids. But the reality is, especially this time of year, where there's lots of holiday events and lots of family events, even if it's not your kids,
Yeah.
there's a good possibility that you're going to run into kids.
Yes.
And holy crap,
Yes.
if a grown middle-aged man is reacting this way to this puppy,
Yeah.
I could only imagine
Yeah.
what kids' reactions are to it.
Yeah.
Kids
So,
love her.
yeah.
Love her. So they're similar in size as well. So
there are risks. So a lot of people will say things like, labs are great with kids.
Yeah.
Or they'll make blanket statements about a certain breed.
Yeah.
So whether you have a Saint Bernard or, lab puppy or whatever, there's a lot more risk with a puppy because, to your point, they're about the same size.
Yeah.
They can knock, especially small children, you gotta be really careful because they can knock them over, or they can perceive them as, again, playmates. So have you guys run into any kids yet?
yeah, she jumps up.
Yeah.
She jumps
She
up.
jumps
So
up.
usually we'll pull her back, make her sit.
And
When
then-
she's calm again, the kid can come in and pet, and that works.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you guys got it.
Yeah.
The right approach, because what encourages puppies or any dogs to jump up is the people.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
Yeah.
think about the greeting.
Yeah.
So if you see a really cute puppy, what do? You bend over,
Yeah.
you want to pet it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you say like how cute it is,
Yeah.
right? And you're, what that is an invitation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you're, without knowing it, inviting the dog to actually jump up.
Yeah.
And because you're using its name and you're petting it and you're doing all this great stuff when they're jumping up,
Yeah. And
you're encouraging it.
to the bad trait to
And
to build up.
some
Yeah.
people will literally run at you like, "Oh, this is your puppy to me. Oh, I want to play with you. Can I pet your dog?" And they're already sort of engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, but-
So
see. This is the
That's
problem that we have. Like, so we see a person coming to us. She wants to play with the dog. Totally fine. Like we tell her to sit, but then she jumps up and gets excited, starts to jump. From the sitting position, she goes to the jump.
Yeah.
And then we want to take her away from the guest or the other person. We have to go back. And she would still come at us. And we have to deny to
Okay.
petting her, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Most
I
people
have a solution for you guys. So here's the thing. So imagine like this is a person and this is your dog. So when the person and the dog are meeting face to face,
Uh-huh.
it's gonna encourage that
Yeah.
that thing because so Lilu sees she's moving in this direction and then she sees somebody coming towards her who's excited.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be like attraction.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the better approach, right, is to turn them around.
Yeah.
So they're
so they're not
moving
facing-
in the same
Same
direction.
Yeah.
So let's say I want to pet Lilu.
Yeah.
So if I was in front of Lilu, petting her,
Yeah.
right, I'd be staring right at her.
Yeah.
But because I'm on the side, so if
Yeah.
somebody wants to pet her,
Yeah.
have them walk beside
Yeah.
the dog,
Yeah.
and then instead of stationary,
Yeah.
have
It's
the
walking.
moving, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the easiest way to be polite,
Yeah.
right, with
Yeah.
people who want to pet your dog,
Yeah.
who are encouraging the wrong kind of things,
Yeah.
is to very simply say, she's just in training right now. Would you
Yeah.
want to walk with us?
Yeah.
And you can pet her
Yeah.
while we're walking,
Yeah.
right? So instead of like this kind of,
A rude wall.
Yeah.
well, when she's sitting still and
Yeah.
you're standing still,
Yeah.
she's not doing anything but
Yeah.
focusing on that
that.
particular meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's much more explosive
Yeah.
than if she's moving forward
Yeah.
and somebody's petting her as she's moving.
Yeah.
Then she's
Yeah.
doing two things at the same time.
Yeah.
So then it's not as intense of an exciting thing,
Yeah.
and she's obviously going to be less likely to jump.
Yeah.
It's not going to eliminate it permanently, but it's going to mitigate the chances of it
Yeah.
if she's moving forward.
Yeah. I have a question. What if she stops right there and the other person also stops? So basically, we both are like standing like this, right? What if she stops walking and
Yeah.
she sits down? How should we?
Well, if you're gonna walk, then she's gonna walk.
Yeah, you should.
You'd think that would happen.
Listen, if you're there for, I did a really quick lesson
Yeah,
with Mitt and showed him how to walk her with
Yeah.
one finger,
yeah,
right? And
That's the
If-
sweet spot.
if you can walk a dog with one finger,
Yeah.
that's like the ultimate expression
Yeah.
of walking with a dog. Meaning that you're not putting any effort into it at all,
Yeah.
because that's the point, right? So it's an exaggeration
Yeah.
of showing people, look, I am literally putting no effort into walking my dog.
Yeah.
So the leash is just for like legal purposes or whatever.
Yeah.
But the harness is going to have the opposite effect. And
Yeah.
I get why people use harnesses,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that a harness isn't a tool that can be effective,
Yeah.
but it's much, much, much more difficult
Yeah.
to walk a dog
Yeah.
with a harness.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. If you were going to steer a car, you can either turn the front wheels and
Yeah.
steer the car,
Yeah.
or you can try and drag the whole thing sideways.
Yeah.
Which one is going to take more effort?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just better just to steer the car,
Yeah.
right? And Mitt was doing it. I have
Yeah.
video of it. I have
Yeah.
evidence.
Yeah.
So it's
He
not
just
a
doesn't
matter
do it.
of, oh, okay, this guy works with dogs all the time.
Yeah.
Of course he can walk a dog with one finger. That's not it at all. There's been many people where
Yeah.
I've shown them exactly the technique,
Yeah.
and it's relatively easy. You're
Yeah.
not teaching the dog anything.
Yeah.
It's already within them.
Yeah.
And so if you get them used to walking like that,
Yeah.
she's not going to just
Yeah.
suddenly
Yeah.
stop unless you decide to stop.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's one of the special challenges of having an extra large breed is even as a puppy, they can really put the brakes on and
Yeah.
we're full grown humans and she can walk us.
Yeah.
You were saying offline,
Yeah.
these are pulling dogs, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
instinct
Well-
is to drag, and I swear she would rather choke herself on the leash than move. And that's one of the
Yeah.
struggles I had
Yeah.
to begin. I didn't want to walk her because
Yeah.
I felt cruel. She
Yeah.
would not move, and she would literally choke herself almost to the point of vomiting before moving.
Yeah.
She just
With-
doesn't
with-
want to move. Like we'd
Okay,
be
I'll
walking
show you
and
how
then
to do it.
abruptly
Yeah.
she pulls.
But-
We'll work together if you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
I'll give you that option.
She's
Some
better
people
on the
are just
leash now,
Yeah.
so
but we feel
yeah,
cruel.
yeah. Well, the thing is, it's more about the psychology
Yeah.
of it. Once you learn, and it's all about relaxation,
Yeah.
right? So if you're walking a dog properly,
Yeah.
it's about you being relaxed, and then they're gonna relax.
Yeah.
So dogs are like a mirror.
Yeah.
So if you're tense, nervous, anxious,
Yeah.
excited, whatever,
Yeah.
they're gonna pick up on it, and
That's
then
me.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's why
She's trying to sleep.
people can hand me their dog,
Yeah.
and with them they'll be pulling and
Yeah.
barking and doing all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff, and then 5 minutes with me,
Yeah.
and they're completely relaxed, and
Yeah.
they wonder what is the difference.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what are you doing differently
Yeah.
that I'm not doing?
Yeah.
And it's because I'm completely relaxed and I know the technique.
That's where personality comes
But
in.
I kind of agree with his method, because when you're having the harness on or like the collar on, you're controlling the dog's surrounding. But when you have the chest pad on, her head she's concentrating everywhere else.
Yes.
Right.
Scanning
So
it.
when you have control over her head, like where she's concentrating on, you can actually.
Yeah, if
kick
she's
it over,
looking,
right?
then she'll
But if
follow.
you have that shoulder collars on, like her head is accessing everywhere, all the disturbances, and she's getting excited somewhere else. So the chances of she pulling us is a lot more
Yeah.
when you have that shoulder.
Totally.
collars.
And the big worry is always, oh my god, in 6 months when she's 5 times
Big.
as big, that's always the thought. Like,
Yeah.
someone once told us to pick her up and carry her
Yeah.
from the elevator to outside.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That was
but
me.
we can't
Yeah.
do that.
Well,
Yeah.
not,
She's gonna get big.
well, when she was 8 weeks old, you could do it, and it was
Yeah.
just to help so that she didn't confuse leaving your front door
Yeah.
with being outside. It's a very temporary thing. You wean them off it,
Oh
but
my
you
God,
do it while
the
you can.
expert said
Yeah.
it. But and that's okay. Like, will she not get used to being carried? And like,
It's a
that's
very
that's the
specific
constant
way.
thought
No.
of she's gonna get big. And
Yeah. So it was just a temporary measure because the thing is, when you're house training a dog in a condo, when you leave your door, it's not outside, which is. But they also understand that when you leave your door, it's not inside. So it's like this in between area.
Yeah.
So I did it with Mosley for literally a week. I'm not suggesting you do it all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, she was 8 weeks old, and I was
oh
like,
my God, she's already too heavy for
Yeah.
me to like
for
deadlift.
sure. And it's a very specific way. But regardless of that, when you're talking about dogs getting big, I worked with a 10-pound Morkie, which is a tiny little dog.
10 pound?
A Morkie?
Morkie.
What's
Morkie.
that?
It's Yorkshire Terrier and a Maltese. I could be wrong. Like it's
Honey.
a tiny
It's
little
a
white
mix.
dog. Okay, and you wouldn't think that a 10-pound dog could pull its owner around, but dogs are really powerful. Pound for pound, they're extremely powerful because they have a low center of gravity and they have a lot of muscle mass.
Yeah.
And they literally have 4 ways of providing momentum, right? So regardless of whether you have a tiny dog or
a big dog. Or
big
a
dog,
giant dog.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So how you walk them is much more about working with your dog's psychology rather than I am stronger than my dog.
Yeah.
Because it's not about strength.
They're always gonna beat you in strength.
Yeah. So
Especially
listen,
this one.
if you can walk a dog with one finger, you don't need any strength. 0. So you could be a 10-year-old girl or you could be a 180-pound guy.
Yeah.
One finger is still no effort.
Yeah.
So that's the point, is that it doesn't matter how physically strong you are or how physically strong your dog is going to be. If you're walking them correctly, then it doesn't take any effort. Because if you start battling your dog's strength, you're going to lose, especially with her. Because at 120 pounds, when full grown, 130 pounds, if she decides that she's not going to move,
I'll be on all of my 4s.
you're going to be like, okay, I'm just going to stay here. So it's important to understand when they're young, you have an opportunity to teach them the right way of walking, of behaving indoors and all that kind of stuff before their size becomes a factor.
Yes. Well, when they're a distraction like other dogs or other people, she starts to pull.
Yeah.
And we're struggling with that.
Oh, it's okay. I can show you how to do that. That's just a practice thing. So you play basketball, and I've given you basketball analogies before, and you're a photographer, right? As a hobby. Don't worry, I'm not a professional broadcaster, but I do this as a hobby, right? You're not a pro basketball. You don't play for the Raptors.
I wish.
Right. So the analogies that I'm going to use aren't based on your profession. They're based on things that you can relate to, right? So I was also an amateur photographer back in the day. So the idea is that you don't get good at something by simply doing it. You get good at something by practicing it. You get good at something by breaking down a challenge into its individual components and then putting it back together. So I'm going to use a basketball analogy for you, and then I'll do a photograph one for you. So basketball, right? You're not talking about playing the whole game. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to practice layups. I'm going to practice my free throw shots. I'm going to, so on and so forth. You're taking little micro parts of the game and you're practicing those individual parts and then you're layering on more and more difficult scenarios into it. Right? So if we do photography, we're going to talk about, okay, let's practice getting the lighting right. One of the challenges that I had when I first started making YouTube videos is which way the camera was facing in proportion to the sun.
Yeah.
right? So I learned that if the camera is facing the sun, everything is going to be a silhouette and washed out.
Yeah.
But if you turn the camera where
Yeah.
the back of it is facing
Yeah.
the sun, then
Yeah.
the lighting is going to be better,
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And then you learn about, framing and
Yeah.
and capturing the right focus and all those different parts. And you're not going to start off
Yeah.
with a camera
Yeah.
and say, okay, I got this. Look,
Yeah.
every single picture is perfect,
Yeah.
or every single shot
Shots.
that I throw is gonna be a swoosh,
Yeah.
right? You're gonna make mistakes
Yeah.
and you're gonna have some difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your dog, what you gotta say is, look, we're having challenges
Yeah.
with this part of our walk,
Yeah.
whether it be getting out the front door,
Yeah.
which was a bit of a challenge
Yeah.
at first,
Oh, what's the first challenge?
or
Yeah.
walking past other dogs,
Yeah.
or whatever the distraction is.
Yeah.
You start with something like we started practicing in the hallway.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because the hallway is a space where there's very little distractions. So you get the basics down with little distractions,
Yeah.
and then you amp up
Amp
the
up the
difficulty
challenge.
level.
Yeah.
And then if you're having difficulty with, let's say, walking past dogs, you just practice walking past dogs until she gets it. So the basic premise with a dog is, don't worry if you're having specific difficulties. Just make a list and practice those particular parts.
Yeah.
It always helps to have somebody who's going to be observing what you're doing and then be able to break it down and saying, okay, here's where
you're wrong.
you need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
That's why people call me sometimes, is because like I can watch them and say, okay, here, let me help you fix the one or two things that you need to be able to do this correctly.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed. Like we practiced leaving the building, I think 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
The first time she
All,
put on the brakes.
All the brakes.
Yeah.
Second time
Yeah.
she hesitated a little bit,
Yeah.
but it was less than the first.
Yeah.
Third time it was like barely anything.
Yeah.
And that was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But we digress. So practice makes perfect, people. Okay, we talked a lot about puppy life and some of the challenges, and we're going to talk about the breed in a second. But one of the things that you guys want to talk about, and I get asked about quite a lot, is having a big dog or even having multiple dogs in an apartment versus a house.
Yeah.
And a lot of people
Oh my
are
God.
under the assumption
Yeah.
that, this is a St. Bernard,
Yeah.
she's going to be 130
Yeah.
pounds, and you have a 2-bedroom apartment or whatever.
Yeah.
How's that work?
Yeah. Well, I have a perfect example for that. Like, I'm 6'7", and I'm 6'7", and if we
And you
have
fit?
if we have babies,
Yeah.
the same person would they tell us, "Oh, you're a big person. Are you gonna raise your kid in a 2-bedroom apartment? Why don't you get a mansion and raise her there?" I'm like, when you look at a dog and how much exercise she does, she's not gonna do all the exercises in her kennel or in her
Exactly.
in her
We're not
place.
taking her for a jog
So-
from the kitchen to the balcony.
Yeah,
They go outside.
she does her workouts outside, not in her bed or in her personal space. So basically, the kennel is an extended version of the house.
Yeah.
So all the workouts. So that's why the importance of a walk, and you have to give her ample exercises. Otherwise, what she's gonna do is she's gonna come home and she's gonna be home, so she's gonna destroy everything in your home.
Yeah.
So I think
That was a big misconception for me in our initial discussions.
Yeah.
One of my main points on my,
Yeah.
my PowerPoint presentation, I had a nice little flow chart of
pros and cons.
dog will increase in size,
Yeah.
apartment will remain
The
the same size.
yeah.
But I mean, I think one of the big things I learned is that size of the dog doesn't really
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It's more to do with
like
the temperament of the dog
a big
too.
person can live in a
Yeah.
small apartment.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but the person will also go to Starbucks and go to work and go for a jog and come home and be completely content. A dog is kind of the same. You know, you wouldn't.
For sure.
And Lulu's fine. And the breed as well. Like, she's quite lazy, so she's perfectly happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a very happy dog.
I mean, here's the thing. There's going to be benefits and drawbacks to any option. So if you live in a house, for example, you're going to have more space and a backyard. Yeah. And I think having easy access to outdoor space is the biggest bonus that you can't replicate with a condo. And that's fine. Okay. But then again, you also have more space. Yeah. So it's like, oh, where did the puppy go? Yeah. Oh, she just went into the
fifth bedroom.
The fifth bedroom and took a pee and the rest of it, right? Yeah.
You don't find it till next week.
For sure.
The cleaning day comes.
Yeah. And then there's other challenges in terms of, okay, well, in a condo, you don't have a lot of storage space. Yeah. Okay, and we talked really briefly about raw food versus kibble. And if you have a house, maybe you have a basement with an extra fridge. Yeah. So that's an advantage. So every option, whether you have a house or a condo, is going to have a lot of advantages.
One of the big areas of struggle we did not expect to face when adopting Lilu is, some people are actually very upset with us. Yeah. You know, why are you doing this? Why are you being cruel? Why are you subjecting this dog to a terrible life in an apartment? But you got to have a unified response for stuff like that. Like, especially if you're adopting as a couple, make sure you're going out there with the same message to all the haters.
Here's the thing. Like one of the reasons why I started the podcast is to bring people together. A lot of stuff that I saw on social media was really negative because people want it to be right.
Oh
right.
My God,
so
people are mean.
So
about this stuff.
The reality is, if you ask me for advice and for help, I'd be glad to offer it to you as an opinion. So take it with a grain of salt, right? Like what I'm saying isn't the only solution. Like it's just maybe the solution that I found effective. But what people have gotten into in social media is this they think they know better than everybody else. So when they see you with a Saint Bernard puppy, they're going to put in their 2 cents. Because people have just gotten used to, well, I'm just going to tell, I must be right. So let me help you with your life.
We're in the age of like unsolicited advice. Unsolicited advice. So people mean well.
Yeah. Sure.
Absolutely, they mean well. So just know what you're going to say. Because there will be comments adopting a large breed like a Saint Bernard.
Well, look, I have 2 dogs myself. Yeah. And I live in a condo. Yeah. Mosley has spent his whole life here. Yeah. Kenzie has spent her whole life here. Yeah. And they're the happiest dogs I know. Yeah. So the point is that if you have a backyard, you shouldn't be relying on your backyard to use as a substitute for walking your dogs.
I think that definitely happens. Yeah.
It does happen.
When I had the German Shepherd.
Right, you just let it out in the backyard?
Yeah, I could not walk her. She controlled me. She would not listen to me. So the other person I was living with would just kind of open the back door, let her out, and she wouldn't get long walks. So
right. Well,
not necessarily better to have a big house.
No, but
if you have the crutch of the backyard.
The perception is that. So when you live in a condo, it's much more. It's easier to do it because you don't have a choice. Yeah. Right? So if you don't have the option to open up the door, let the dog into the backyard, the dog uses your backyard as a place to relieve themselves and then comes back in, and that's their only interaction with the outside world. That's not going to give your dog what they need.
Yeah.
That's like one thing,
Yeah.
but they need to experience the world with you.
Yeah.
They need to socialize with
Yeah.
other dogs,
Yeah.
and they need to smell different things
Yeah.
and experience the world. Like
Yeah.
dogs get cabin fever. They get
Yeah.
cooped up,
Yeah.
and they start to go a little bit nuts,
Yeah.
right? Because
Same way a person would, really.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
here's an analogy that's very terrible.
Mhm.
And I actually used this with somebody once because they said, well, I don't need to walk my dog because I have a big backyard. And I said, well, that's great that you have a big backyard because it gives you options to do training outside and to play fetch and different things. But I said, let's say I made you the most luxurious jail cell in the world.
Yeah.
Right? So it'll be decked out. It'll have the nicest bed. It'll have a TV, fridge, all the food you can eat. But the only caveat is that this jail cell, no matter how nice I make it, is you're going to have to stay there your whole life.
Yeah.
Would you do it? And people laugh and
Yeah.
they're like, well, of course not. I wouldn't do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I'll make it really, really nice.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. I
It
wouldn't
sounds
stay
like-
there.
Yeah. That's a
But that's-
good analogy.
It's like every sci-fi movie ever.
Right. So,
Yeah.
but that's the thing. Like, no matter how nice
Yeah.
that space is, your
Yeah.
backyard is
Yeah.
is beautiful and
Yeah.
big and the rest of it.
Yeah.
They still need to experience the world. Like you and I,
Yeah.
we go to work, we go
Yeah.
to get groceries, and blah blah blah. The dog's only interaction
Yeah.
with the outside world
Yeah.
is with you.
Yeah.
So if you're not facilitating that activity,
Yeah.
if they're not meeting other dogs, if
Yeah.
they're not smelling other things,
Yeah.
then there's that part of them that's unsatisfied, and then behavioral problems
Yeah.
come from it.
Yeah.
So it's really important.
Yeah.
Which is a nice lead into our next topic, which is socialization.
Yeah.
Okay? Especially when they're young,
Yeah.
because if they get off to a good start,
Yeah.
your life is going to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
So there's two types of socialization that people ask me about.
Yeah.
There's people
Yeah.
socialization,
Yeah.
so introducing your dog to a number of different people, different ages,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And the more important one and the more pressing one is socialization with other dogs.
Yeah.
Puppy classes are
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
because it's a fun
Yeah.
environment and everybody's kind of in the same situation.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing there's a trainer
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
facilitates it. Okay, so there is a risk when you're socializing your dog that they could pick up
Yeah.
bad habits
Yeah.
from other dogs,
Yeah.
especially because you got a puppy.
Yeah.
And dogs learn from each other
Yeah.
much better than they learn from people. I tell
Yeah.
that all the time. That's why I use Mosley and Mackenzie when I'm
Yeah.
working with dogs that have issues,
Yeah.
because they just pick up things from the dogs way easier than it is from
With
me.
us.
So there's a trainer there that supervises the socialization activity. So what
Yeah.
kind of things do you do there?
So basically, it's a closed room, and you have everyone brings their puppies, and they teach us how to sit, and like they do it separately. Now the problem arises every puppy has their own problem. So what you're doing is it's an uncontrolled surrounding. So my puppy would learn from the other puppy what she's doing and finds that it's okay. So socialization should be a controlled socialization. Don't just go for normal socialization classes. That's a major problem, because the moment you do socialization, she's gonna absorb other puppies' problem too. But if you do it in a controlled and proper manner, that's the best.
Well, I think it's important to understand the distinction. So if you think about it in terms of school, okay, recess is a free-for-all where kids go nuts and play and have fun.
Yeah.
And that is the type of socialization that 90% of people think about.
Yeah.
Is when you talk about socializing your dog, you're talking about dogs playing with each other, which is true and which is important.
Yeah.
However, it shouldn't be the only type of socialization that they experience, because basically what they're going to do is they're going to figure out, okay, well, when I see other dogs, it means playtime.
Yeah.
So while it's good for them to be socialized in that way, meaning that they're not aggressive or nervous around other dogs, it might be, hey, I haven't seen another dog in a while. Oh, there's another one.
Yeah.
I associate dogs with playtime.
Yeah.
So you're going to have them pull. You're going to have them start wrestling and stuff. So that's one type of socialization. The other one, which is extremely rare, but I always encourage, is walking your dog with other dogs.
Oh.
So they become social, but in a structured activity.
Yes.
Which is something that they're going to experience together, but they're also going to experience it while they're calm. And because they're moving, right? So when a dog is moving, their mind is focused on that activity.
One goal. Yeah.
When all they're doing is playing, that's all they're thinking about is playing, right? So they can share that experience while they're walking together, and that's a different, more productive way of socialization. The other is understanding how to introduce your dog to other dogs.
Yes.
So what is the most common way that Lilu has met other dogs?
Well, that's the only way she has done is like by pulling us towards the other dog.
On walks.
Yeah.
So like this, right?
Yeah.
So for you guys, I'm going to do like this. For the audience, I'm going to do like this. So face to face.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is another area where people have difficulties with. Because if Lilu is coming along and another dog is coming along and they see each other and she associates other dogs with excitement and it's good for her to want to meet other dogs. It's a natural thing. She'll generally get excited and then start pulling. However, the best way to introduce your dog to another dog, you want to guess?
On the right hand side.
Together.
Yeah, together?
Walk them together.
Yeah.
Facing the same direction.
Yeah.
Or front to back. So if you want to introduce Lilu to another dog, and you know that other person, so let's say it's me walking my dog ahead of you, you can bring her up behind another dog so that she is doing this instead. So you want to engage her nose before her eyes, because when they're using their nose, they're less likely to be like, oh, it's party time. It's like excitement. And then you just pull alongside that person. So you don't get like right up. They don't need to physically touch nose to bum. They just need to get that sense. And that's them meeting. And then you can bring them alongside. And again, stay walking. And that's how dogs build relationships with each other. So walking your dog with other dogs when they're young, very important socialization.
Well, that's a lesson for me.
it's gonna help you a lot because it's going to get them used to passing by other dogs and being more curious rather than excited. I mean, excitement is a better reaction to another dog than fear or
for sure,
aggression. Like this one, but it's one of those other things that people don't really consider too much. So in terms of like other people, a variety of people, one of the benefits of living in a condo is that you're just going to run into people everywhere, whether you like it or not, in the lobby, in the elevators, in the hallway, on the street, right? So have other people walked her? You said you had a dog walker?
Like, see, you should have a permanent person to walk your dog. Like every time you switch persons, she's gonna react differently to each and every person.
Actually, variety's better.
Variety's better?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, because I had one person, she was not a really experienced person, and for some reason Lilu didn't want to go outside.
That's
Probably
different,
sense
though.
the
Yeah.
anxiety.
Yeah.
So, like, I walk Lilu,
Uh-huh.
no problem,
Yeah.
right? Because I know what I'm doing. So I'm not saying to hand your dog to literally anybody
Yeah. Yeah.
and just say, okay, like, just walk my dog.
Yeah.
You want to first figure out how to walk your dog yourself
Yes.
properly,
Yes.
and then you can help other people to do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you do want somebody, if somebody's, let's say somebody's afraid of dogs,
Mm-hmm.
all right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, can you walk my dog? That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
She's not gonna
Yeah.
take
she's
to that
not-
too well.
Yeah. Yeah. But why is variety better than consistent?
Because socialization is another word for it is exposure,
Uh-huh.
right? So if you think about the socialization of people, you want to socialize your dog with young people,
Mm-hmm.
excited people,
Mm-hmm.
chill people, old people, loud people, like
Yeah.
that variety. So when she
Yeah.
grows up,
Yeah.
she'll have that experience of, oh, I've
Oh,
met a
yeah.
whole broad spectrum of people.
Yeah.
Same with dogs.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about, some people like to segregate their dog
Uh-huh.
based on their breed or on their size,
Yeah.
meaning I have
Yeah.
a small dog, so I'm going to socialize
With
my
only-
small dog with only small dogs,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
their small dog
Yeah.
has a problem with big dogs later on,
Yeah.
and they wonder why.
Yeah.
And part of it is the fact that they didn't socialize their dog
Yeah.
properly when they were young with
Yeah.
all different kinds of dogs,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So it's one of those things. The more variety,
Uh-huh.
you're just covering more bases,
Yeah.
so that later on in life,
Yeah.
it's not like, oh my God, what is that? It's like, oh, I've already experienced that in some shape or form, and I'm comfortable with it, and it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the elevator is a good
Yeah.
example, right? So she will grow up
Mm-hmm.
not knowing any other experience other than an elevator.
Yeah.
But a dog that's never experienced an elevator before,
Uh-huh.
when they get in the elevator for the first time and they're older,
Okay.
they freak out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen it 100 times.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that, you know, you're already doing
Uh-huh.
without
Yeah.
even putting any effort in.
Gotta get her trained on stairs.
Stairs, yeah,
Yeah,
stairs
yeah,
are pretty
stairs.
easy. They like to go down as fast as possible,
Yeah.
and then up
Oh,
is
she's
is
a little
usually
floppy
challenge.
girl.
Yeah.
So she goes on like bloop, 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 bloop.
Yeah, she's like a
That's
slinky.
the end of the stairs.
All right, awesome. So I think we talked about quite a lot of puppy stuff. So let's get into the Saint Bernard stuff. This, by the way, is Georgie, who just got through puppyhood. So she's an adolescent, but we'll talk about that later. And you're a little naughty girl. Okay, good. All right, so do you know the history of the Saint Bernard? I'm going to give you some good stuff here.
Oh yeah.
You ready?
Yes, I'm all for it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
originally
Yeah.
they were from a line of dogs that the Romans
Yeah.
brought
Yeah.
to a mountain pass between.
Is it the Mastiffs?
It was a type. They're not quite sure,
Okay.
but they bred the Saint Bernard specifically to help people through this mountain pass from
Yeah.
the Italian Alps
Good
Yeah.
girl.
to
Helping
the
my people.
Swiss Alps.
Italian elf? Yeah.
Right? So the reason why it got its name is have you ever heard of the patron saint of something?
Yeah.
So it's like a patron saint of pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Saint Bernard was the patron saint of mountaineers.
Yeah.
So like they would protect,
Yeah,
the mountaineers from dying and stuff.
Yeah.
So these dogs were named after this patron saint,
Uh-huh.
and there was a hospice
Uh-huh.
and monastery
Yeah.
named after Saint Bernard.
Yeah.
So that's what they named the breed.
Yeah.
Okay, so these dogs were built for the cold.
Yeah.
So they come in
Yeah.
pretty much two varieties, long
Yeah.
hair and short hair. I
Yes.
think she's
Yes.
long hair,
Yeah,
right?
she's the long hair.
She's the long hair one,
Yeah.
which would be even
Yeah.
extra shedding.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're built for
Yeah.
like not just the cold, like downtown Toronto cold,
Yeah.
like
No, no, no,
Arctic.
no.
proper,
Colds,
like in the Alps.
Arctic cold.
Yeah,
Deep freeze.
they were search and rescue dogs,
Yeah.
so they would go out into the cold
Yeah.
and find lost travelers,
Yeah.
basically, along this mountain pass.
Yeah.
And here's a really interesting fact. You're going to love this. When I read it, I absolutely freaked out. So, fun fact. It is said that when a St. Bernard found a stranded human,
Yeah.
they would lie down beside them to provide warmth, okay, and would lick the person's face to restore consciousness.
Honey.
When are you going to do that to me?
Like if I was ever stranded in a mountain area and unconscious, and I woke up next to a 180-pound Saint Bernard licking my face,
You probably go back to sleep again.
I think I would be like, did I die and go to heaven, or is this just me? So they have a long history from like the early 1800s, and they worked with a lot of farmers and stuff too later on in life. So yeah, so there's a little bit of history. Did you know that?
Yeah. Oh,
I
no,
did
no.
not know
like,
that.
I knew about the Swiss
It's
Alps,
interesting.
but I didn't know about the factor that, they would lie on you and regain your consciousness.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
interesting.
Okay, so let's go through a few of the like most common questions when it comes to Saint Bernards, because
Yeah.
I'm sure people are curious.
Yeah.
The first thing is the weight.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what's the average weight of a Saint Bernard?
It's different male to female.
Give me a range.
So I think the males are 150 to 180, and the females are like 120 to 140 or something like that.
Pounds. For all
Yeah,
our,
pounds.
For all our American
Yeah.
people out there.
How good did I do?
Yeah, and so to give you an idea, I'm 185 pounds.
Yeah.
So that dog would weigh as much as me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm fat too, so that doesn't help. So that's a huge
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
So we already mentioned the long hair and the short hair
The short hair.
variety.
Yeah.
Do you know their average life expectancy?
8 years.
8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
it's kind of one of the downsides. Comes with a lot of really large breeds,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But it's about quality of life,
Yeah.
not the duration.
Yeah.
So you guys are going to give her a great life. All right, so let's talk about shedding. So they're going to shed a ton,
Yeah.
and they have 2 major blowouts
Yeah.
a year. You know what a blowout is?
Yeah.
If you haven't seen these videos of St. Bernards getting groomed, it's hilarious. Did somebody put peanut butter on my notepad? Because look at it. It is absolutely not dog friendly. The other thing that they're known for is drooling. Okay,
Yeah.
and drilling
Yeah.
quite a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons for it is their jowls,
Yeah.
so like their
Yeah.
lips and stuff.
Yeah.
So has she? I haven't noticed any drilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It could be, I guess, when they get older.
So this is a fact that I looked online. Apparently, if you're a bit more careful, they drool less. Because they do this because she's thirsty now. So the moment she starts panting, you give her water. Her jaws, so she's not gonna pant a lot. The moment she pants, you give her water. The duration of panting becomes less, and the lower skin flap droops lesser.
I see.
Yeah, so it
Also,
maybe I may be wrong, but
if you see the males versus the females too, the males look like they have like longer jowls. They're
Yeah.
droopier.
Yeah.
Whereas the lady dogs.
More dainty.
More-
Yeah.
yeah,
So I
very
haven't
pretty.
noticed really any drooling outside of when she eats
Yeah.
and drinks.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe she would be after a year. We'll find out soon.
I mean, for sure.
Well,
they're
you're gonna find
very,
out soon.
Yeah.
It's summertime.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They
In the
love
summer,
giving
yeah.
you. They love giving you kisses, and they have these
Yeah.
squishy faces. So if you're touching her face, you're gonna get kind of
Yeah.
slobbery.
Yeah.
But they're like nothing like dripping.
dripping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't see any
So
drools
far.
yet. Like,
Like we're talking about like
yeah.
drool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's something called like a drool rag that people carry around when they're adults.
Yeah.
So if you wipe them down periodically, it mitigates the drool.
Yeah.
The biggest thing though is keeping them cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the thing about a dog that has been bred for the cold, meaning they have the ability to withstand extremely cold temperatures, and we're talking about mountain cold. When you put them into a temperate environment, it's the drilling is like a consequence of that because you're putting a dog that's meant to be in the cold literally all year round into relatively warm weather.
Yeah.
So it's really about keeping them as cool as possible. So anybody who has an Alaskan Malamute or a Samoyed or even my dogs, it could be negative 21 and they'll be panting outside. They're just built for the cold. So it's all about keeping them as cool as possible, and that will mitigate the drooling quite a bit.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just like it's comes with the territory.
Oh yeah.
It's just some dogs have little quirks to them that are going to be a little bit more upkeep in terms of cleaning, and other dogs are fine.
She just needs
So
some.
this,
she needs sponges on her feet. So it's like, just, as she goes.
Oh, so the rag, the drool rag.
Yeah.
So how do you you keep it on her on her collar?
No, like on you.
Yeah, like you physically wipe them down.
Yeah, you just wipe the area.
Yeah.
Keep them from leaving pools of drool everywhere.
The moment when you said that, the first thing that went through my mind is like the small babies. They have that thing.
The bib.
Yeah, the bib. Yeah. So having a bib on her, and every time she drills, it's like.
In terms of the breeder that you got them from, was it difficult to find a breeder?
Yes.
It was?
Yes.
Because they're rare.
Yeah, they're rare.
There are a lot of mixed ones, like the mountain Burmese mountain dog.
Yeah.
A lot of Saint Bernard Bernese mixes. Yeah, a lot of those.
Saint Burmese, that's what they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Bernese and Saint Bernard mix.
Also, price is. These dogs are. Quite.
Oh yeah.
Pricey.
That's one thing I tend to avoid talking to people about. I helped a friend of mine get a French bulldog puppy.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to even tell you how much they paid for that puppy. Let's just say it was ludicrous speed. But hey, it's all good.
Yeah.
I always tell people, regardless of whether you go spend a lot of money on a purebred dog from a breeder, or you go to a shelter and you rescue a dog, getting a dog is a great thing, and you should get the dog that you want. You shouldn't be pressured into, I gotta go rescue a dog because that's morally the right thing to do. I tell people, if you don't mind, if you don't have a particular preference, go rescue a dog from a shelter. But if you have your heart set on
something, then
a Saint Bernard, go get one.
Because that's a very valid point there, right? Because sometimes you just for an impulsive behavior, you go and get a dog, but you're totally not into it, and then it becomes a burden to you. So it ends up much more worse.
Not necessarily a burden.
Yeah, because
this is an inconvenience. We're gonna throw it away now.
But
more you have to be real with yourself about what level of care you're willing to provide. Sure. And a dog from a shelter means lots of training. A different kind of training, and maybe aggression, or you have to just be realistic about what kind of lifestyle you want, and it's more fair to the dog to select a breed that is congruent with the type of life you want to live. Yeah. For us, it was a Saint Bernard. This is how she is most of the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the one thing the only caveat I would have is if you see a celebrity or a movie and it has a specific dog in it.
Yeah.
That's probably not the best motivation for choosing a breed. The way you guys did it is bang on perfect. Like
Yeah.
you match the dog to your lifestyle,
Yeah.
Good job.
and that's
Yeah.
and then everything after that is going to
Yeah.
work out because
Yeah.
because you're thinking about how do I live,
Yeah.
not necessarily about
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
you know look how pretty it is. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's a factor
it
too.
it matches
Yeah,
the
yeah.
furniture and the
But
Yeah.
it's like,
paint
look,
on the walls.
what is our realistic? Like, I don't jog 10 miles a day,
Yes.
so this is a
Yeah.
better choice
Yeah.
for
We
me.
like long walks
Yeah.
in the
Long walks.
evening.
But we
So
don't
she
Yeah.
goes
go
for one.
marathons.
Yeah,
No, but
she,
a nice
she can come and
casual
join us.
walk
Yeah.
is
That's
perfect
perfect.
companion
yeah,
for you
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
which is great, which is awesome. Okay, so any final advice that you would give to somebody either with a puppy
Yeah.
or who's considering getting a Saint Bernard?
Well,
Get ready for the comments.
that's for sure.
So comments from
Other
Anybody,
people.
Anybody.
Yeah.
you're immediately gonna
Yeah.
get the. Oh, she's gonna be huge.
Yeah,
She's
that's-
gonna be like a horse in your
how's that again?
tiny
How's that go again?
apartment. She's gonna be like a.
Yeah,
you're gonna
right.
put a saddle on her, and she could
But-
be a horsey. Just
You know.
I think
be
it's
prepared.
yeah. I think it's
Take it with a
because,
grain of salt.
like we said, it's so rare,
Yeah.
and people aren't used to seeing a dog of that scale.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, there aren't too many "quote unquote" giant breeds,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
there's a handful,
Yeah.
and especially in major urban areas, we live
Yeah.
in downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
There's not that many of those. Period, and then
Right.
it's even less in a highly dense,
Right.
densely populated area.
Yeah.
So it's normal, maybe reaction for people to
Yeah.
comment on it
Yeah.
because it's just so
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah.
ordinary.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So-
be ready with your response.
Yeah.
Be
But-
cool
So
about it.
what's your response then?
Yeah. Oh, she's gonna be.
Oh
big.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for
That's-
stating the
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah.
Yes, the
Just
sun
kinda
is
like,
up in the
hi.
morning. Yeah,
But
Cool, and then
yeah.
yeah, usually
Maybe
but,
just-
but they're so lazy.
Yeah.
She's so sweet
Yeah.
and so lazy. You know,
Yeah.
she's big, but she's lazy, and then they're kind
Chill.
of like, oh, okay, so they probably just sleep all day, and the commentary will
But
kind of
what
stop there.
what I would like to suggest to people who are gonna get a Saint Bernard is train her, as early as possible.
Mhm.
Because once she is all settled, like once her learning period is, the learning period never ends. But once she gets older, it becomes more difficult to train her.
Mhm.
So train
Yeah.
her as early as possible,
Mm.
and once it is set, it's like a park and it's a walk in the park.
Yeah. Remember,
it becomes very easy.
with everything you do, you have to remember
Yeah.
they're going to be very big.
Yeah.
So good habits early on,
It's-
you're gonna have
yeah,
A lot
better
easier.
time later.
a lot easier.
So you can enjoy your experience
Yeah.
with the
Yeah,
dog.
put the
Yeah.
work in early, and then
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because let's face it,
Yeah.
it's not all peaches and cream.
Yeah.
Right, we talked about the accidents, we talked
Yeah.
about the chewing, we talked about the mischief. Like we talked about lots of stuff that kind of is frustrating or it's like, oh, it's such a
Yeah.
pain in the ass. But then
Yeah.
if you, to your point,
Yeah.
do the right things early, invest the time,
Yeah.
you're gonna enjoy more of the benefits, the
Yeah.
good stuff
Yeah.
of having a dog versus having to
a
deal with
misbehaved-
like
She's such a
Aw.
sweetie.
Georgie, it's okay. We'll fix you, babe. You're gonna be good. I promise. You're already being really good. Awesome. And then, last but not least, just really do your research, like you
Yeah.
guys did.
Yeah.
Talk to a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys considered your decision for
Yeah.
months,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get my gold
Yeah.
star
Yeah.
standard there,
Yeah.
because a lot of people do it on impulse
Yeah.
and they don't
Yeah.
really put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
You both discussed what you wanted, and it's great to see that you took
Yeah.
such a good approach to
Yeah.
to this major decision, because it's a big commitment.
Yeah.
And then get them trained up, move into a building with a dog whisperer in a podcast series. Always helps,
And
right?
become famous.
Absolutely. Get an Instagram account,
Yeah.
do all
Yeah.
that fun stuff. Wicked. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming on.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. It was awesome.
Thanks for having us.
And to all you guys, if you have any questions or concerns, put it in the comments below. If you're interested in following me on Instagram, I'll put my Instagram there. And feel free to submit questions for the next podcast, which is going to be Toronto Humane Society.
Oh.
What?
Wow.
Big, I'm getting big, eh? Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. If you love your dogs, take them for a walk. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Did you guys have fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, was it good?
Yeah.
Awesome.